When setting up your world, you need to use your main character as a way to draw people in, cause people to actually want to be in this world. This is something we talked about in the video, The Force Awakens, a world building failure. In that video, I showed how The Force Awakens does a terrible job with the planet of Jakku, and how it is not that well set up, and we have no connection to it. And I compared it to that of another desert planet, Tatooine. It had A New Hope, they actually perfectly set up a relatable world with Tatooine, even if they're both dry, boring-looking desert planets. So let's just jump in and explain exactly what I talked about. I started out by looking over the openings of those two movies when introducing the world, when introducing these planets. We started with Jakku, right? What we saw of it was that there was a bunch of crashed ships from the Empire there, and it looks like everyone on that planet, all 10 people or so on that planet, all are basically collecting stuff from these old ships and selling them to get food. That's how they get their food, that's how they live. Versus we saw on Tatooine, we began by introducing this character, and we introduced his family, we introduced the world around with these unique creatures on this planet. This sense of huge scope, that we're only seeing a little village in this planet, but there's much more going on all throughout the planet. And then we talked about how later on we get them go to another village and see all this life. So what do we learn based on this about the planets, right? We learned that we're dealing with two different planets that are completely different. We learned that the main character in Force Awakens is just on this planet. She has no connection to the planet as far as we know. And we learned that, this is a crash site for a bunch of Empire ships, and everyone on that planet is basically taking apart those ships. Versus the life that is on Tatooine. How can we learn from this? As I said in the intro, it's all about setting up a character that is drawn to the land, right? When you see Frodo and in the Shire, you want the Shire to be saved. Even though the Shire is a beautiful looking land, you can have ugly looking desert planets like Tatooine. You want it to be saved because of the reason that it's the land of this character you like so much. Even that I don't think that Luke Skywalker is, in my mind, that likable of a character. The point is, he had a little bit more life, and people like him more than they like Rey. So the big thing we learned from this is that given a character who is relatable and loves his planet, but that's the fact. The other thing that I talked about in that video that's important, I also talked about how Tatooine kept coming up through all the rest of the movies. Jakku, I believe that was the only movie that was ever in. It was just forgotten about. You might be like, oh, well, it was just mainly just dealing with, all Star Wars is just dealing with the whole galaxy. But you have to have that home, that place that you can go back to, that you can have a movie that's an adventure movie as they go on this journey. Yes, it's a bigger world, and yes, it's about space, so it's a big galaxies that you're dealing with in Star Wars. But you still have to have that home, that place that draws you in, like Tatooine does. Tatooine is at the center of this whole big thing. You have to spread out. The Shire is the big center that draws us back in to Middle Earth. Middle Earth is a bigger thing, but it's always going back to what the Shire. Tell me your thoughts. Do you like The Force Awakens and the sequel Star Wars movies? If you do, tell me why. Again, you guys probably saw that last week I put out a video talking about how bad A New Hope set up its villain. Now this week you hear me talk about what A New Hope did well, so it's it just shows that while I'm not a big fan of Star Wars, I can see when Star Wars does stuff right. But I just hope that some Star Wars fans, and I did get some really nice comments on that last video where I had some people saying, hey, I'm a Star Wars fan, and I would have to agree with you. The fact of the matter is, I plan to put aside my own personal opinions for these videos, and I just hope that you would be able to do this. Because the fact of the matter is, when you put aside what you have your biased opinions on, sometimes you can see that sometimes reality can hit. And the fact of the matter is, while I'm not a fan of Star Wars, and I don't like that, I see that a lot of people always want to get drawn back to Tatooine. So I can see there's something there that's worth talking about. So guys, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. This has been the Movie Night Review. Peter Ware, signing off.